Hello and welcome to the Monster Painter. This time I'm gonna make monsters out of this $3 bag of toys. Can it be done? So, in all fairness, this is a $3 bag of farm animals with some zoo animals thrown in. It is not an obvious source for monsters unless you're playing the whimsical grim dark skirmish game Forbidden Psalm. You see, the second scenario of that very fun game calls for animal cultists as the hostile monsters. What are animal cultists? I'm not entirely sure, but I think a bunch of farm animals with sinister paint jobs can pull off the role. Now, let's take a closer look and see what we got. Alright, time to dig into this bag, and there's a bunch of stuff that is absolutely useless, unfortunately. We've got these grotesque monkeys in a funny pose. I think they're supposed to climb something, but they're no use to me. We get a doll leg. Ugh, no, that's kind of grim. Maybe something could be made out of it, but not by me. Then we have a couple of bunny rabbits. They're in scale-ish, but their pose is just nothing for me. They'd be very awkward to use, so I'm not interested in the bunnies. We got a little bear cub, I guess, but he's looking a bit distorted. I don't think he's worth the effort. No good there. And then a bunch of tiny horses, and they are, the sculpts are pretty nice. I think if I were playing maybe 72 mil, or not 72 mil, 72 scale, they might be somewhat useful, but I don't play that scale, and so these guys are just way too small, way too small. So yeah, that's what's of no use, and not a terrible big pile. We have a tiny little lion, which is really obviously out of scale, but I have an idea for him. There's a tried and true method of using models that are not the correct scale and making them fit. So I'm gonna see if I can get this guy to work with a paint scheme. Let's find out later. Okay, we get a couple of kangaroos. I am not crazy about the models, but they're okay scale. I guess two different species. Kangaroos come in a lot of different sizes in this world. They're okay, not exciting. I will see what I can do with them. And then we get, I guess, some ibexes or some kind of antelope. And they look sufficiently sinister, but they're going to take some work because they're too drunk to stand up. Also, all of these models are going to take some work because they all have lots of flash and bits on them, so they will all take work. Now, going on in the less exciting monsters, or creatures, I guess. We got a couple of lion cubs. I'm not really thrilled with them. The tail's a little awkward for 28mm gaming and stretches out, and I don't feel like I got a lot of use for them, but they came with a lioness, two lionesses, and the lionesses are perfect scale, and the sculpts aren't bad. You really have to look past the terrible paint jobs with these plastic toys, because the paint jobs are really bad. They make old mage knights look sophisticated. And a tiger. Hey, gotta love a tiger. He's a monster of the real world, or maybe not a monster, but a definite danger in our world. So he'll be a danger in fantasy world, and he's perfect scale and not a bad sculpt. So I'm gonna use him. And then we get a couple little piglets with lots of flash. That almost looks like some sort of weird mutant creature. It's got so much flash on it. And I guess the sow, maybe still a piglet. Yeah, maybe a sow. A little small for a bacon pig, but still, they have potential. I may use them, I may not, but let's get to the stuff I'm really excited about. So the core of the planned Animal Cultist Legion is going to be These chickens, yes, and a goose. The poultry of the farm has turned against humanity and is trying to summon up destruction for a new world. And these chickens are going to fulfill the job. Chickens and geese, looking great. I think they'll make great animal cultists once I'm done. And they're going to be backed up by a great big old pelican, maybe a touch large in scale, the pelican, but those birds are huge, and these models are great, so I'm going to be using them. Yes, indeed. Love it. Yes, the farm is rebelling, and we got a really lovely sheep in great scale, a calf, I guess, and another calf, a very sinister looking calf. In fact, these guys are going to be great animal cultists. I think they're very suited for the job. Nice scale, nice sculpts, dreadful paint jobs. Okay, so we get, of all things, an anteater. He's pretty awesome and perfect scale and fun and charming, and he'll make a good animal cultist. And of course, a bunny rabbit, or a hare, I guess. He's pretty big, but still sinister looking and suitable for a animal cultist. And then we have I guess a bear. I suppose he's about the size of a black bear. He's got lots of flash in his foot. His foot is very distorted. I may not be able to get this one to work properly. Yeah, he's a little on the cute side too, but we'll see what happens. And of course we get the most terrifying monsters of all, people. Oh, and he's a bit big for a 28 millimeter scale, just maybe a little closer to 32 mil, but you know, it's a close enough scale that it works for me. And we get these two, the two men and the two ladies. Ladies have stabs. And by being ladies, a little closer to scale. I think these guys are all really pretty cool, and I'm going to paint them up. Her could even be styled as a super cheap Wizard and Apprentice for Frostgrave, and that's fun. And speaking of Frostgrave, this gorilla is one of my favorite toy models to use in the Frostgrave bestiary. He's going to be turned into a white gorilla, and he is so well suited for the job. It's not even funny. And then I get a penguin, and this is going to be used for a very specific purpose in the good old game of Forbidden Psalm. You see, if a wizard fails enough rolls, they roll on a thing called the Calamity Table, and one of the potential things that or effects of the Calamity Table is they could be turned into a blind penguin. And now I have a penguin model that I can turn into a blind penguin, so that if this ever happens to my wizard, I will be ready with the right kind of model. And that is chaotic fun for sure. And you know I love that. All right then, now is the time to evaluate and see if I can get these painted up and looking like proper gaming miniatures and not junky toys from the thrift store. The challenge is on, and we shall see if I live up to that challenge. Let's take a look at the final products. One of the great things about painting up cheap little toys is you can experiment. I've wanted to do up He-Man's Buddy Battle Cat for a long time, but it is just such an insane color scheme. The 80s were a strange time, and it's in a tiger pattern to boot. I found that kind of intimidating, but with a no-risk thrift store tiger to try it out on, I decided to give it a whirl. Now, I don't consider this a success at all. I mishandled the primer, and I'm pretty unconvinced by those stripes. On the other hand, it's close enough that I think I will give it another go on a better model. Among the most dangerous creatures of the real world, this pair of lionesses can work together while they hunt you down. They are definitely not monsters, but they are clearly a threat. You wouldn't hear Conan the Barbarian saying,
I battled demons and wizards. A couple of hungry lions aren't a big deal.
No, he'd take them seriously. Because of these models, we learn where they're made. Hong Kong. And so we know these toys are all kind of on the old side. Lions and tigers and battle cats are all well and good, but I'm after animal cultists. And dangerous predators just aren't a good fit. But a couple of calves gone horribly wrong are just what the Mad Wizard ordered. There is something very menacing about domestic animals conducting forbidden rituals to bring about the ruination of mankind, and I think these little heifers have what it takes to destroy the world. Now, we are working with some cheap old toys, and there is bound to be some distortion and damage to these ancient things. I think these kinds of imperfections can lead to the menace that I am going after with these villainous farm animals. As well, I do like to mount junky old toys on proper gaming bases when I can. I feel a real base helps lend the model some credibility when it lands on the tabletop. I think the sheep and the pig are top-notch members of this occult congregation. The heart of the Animal Cultist congregation is going to be these 6 chickens. We even get 4 different sculpts of the delicious little villains, which is super fun. They are a little large for proper 28mm chickens, but nobody's gonna care. They have the right sort of psychological scale for chickens who have embraced the side of darkness. And we have more foul cultists with a couple of geese. One goose is fine. The other one, the one with the lumpy bottom, has to be my least favorite model, at least my least favorite sculpt of the models that I bothered to paint up. She even has a blob of gray on her butt from when I did the bases. Goodness, how on earth did I let that slip through? Oh well, she will still do just fine for game night. Now, these 2 geese have to be a pair of my favorite models from this whole set. I took inspiration from the Untitled Goose video game, which spawned many, many memes of its knife-wielding lead character. The pose seemed right, so I dug up a couple of little knives out of an old North Star military Frostgrave kit and armed these birds for vengeance. This small and unnatural addition makes them particularly credible as hostile cultists bent on annihilation. The last of our avian animal cultists is this pair of pelicans. They will pull off the role just fine. Big birds like this have a bit more folkloric and literary gravity to them, so I can see future roles for these big birds. Maybe as magic tricksters, maybe as powerful spirit guides, maybe as just a regular old threat, because they are dangerous birds indeed. Here we have our anteater. He will be a fine animal cultist and is a novel addition to my miniature zoo. I tried to give him one of the more interesting marking schemes that these creatures have in the real world, and it turned out okay. I think with a more fantastical color scheme, he could have worked as a proxy for the exotic D&D monster, the Disenchanter. I don't know if Disenchanters are still a thing anymore. Anyway, he's a fine animal cultist and will serve the job quite well. Now we have a pair of ibexes. I think they are ibexes or some other kind of antelope. They are a little bit of a stretch for what I'm going for with animal cultists, but they'll be fine. The finished product does demonstrate how bad I am at cleaning up flash. I mean, just look at the stuff I missed on their heads. Yikes. Oh well, what's done is done, and they'll be fine for the tabletop. Well, that's it for the cultists. Now on to a spell effect. You see, in Forbidden Psalm, if you have a critical fail when you're casting a spell, you can cause a calamity.
This results in a roll on the calamity table, which has all sorts of zany entries. One of these entries is that your spellcaster is temporarily transformed into a blind penguin. It's already happened to me once, and I want to be ready for when it happens again. And be forewarned, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. I'm kind of proud of the job I did on this bear. I mean, I really polished the turd, and this shabby old model looks like a credible black bear now. He is going to get use as either an animal companion or a random encounter in a game of good old Frostgrave. Yep, I am quite pleased with this thing. This fellow has to be one of my favorite zoo animal toys to find. I've come across him before, and he makes a perfect white gorilla for a Frostgrave bestiary. So, unsurprisingly, I've painted him up as a white gorilla, and I'll be adding him to my collection of Frostgrave monsters. Now, my favorite way to deal with a model that is out of scale is to give the miniature a novel paint job. Thus, this much too small lion is transformed into a dangerous hellcat, or more likely an imp in Frostgrave. Either way, it's a lot of fun and makes for quite a dangerous looking little fiend. Okay, now we have these two Goombas, destined to be nothing more than NPCs, the kind of NPCs you never bother to talk to unless you have to. They are a touch large, and I probably should have cut them off of those pudding bases so they'd fit in a little bit better. But meh. Now, are they monsters? Well, the one in green likes to play his music out loud on the bus, and the one in blue thinks it's funny to fart in elevators, so you tell me. Finally, we come to our two ladies. I quite like these simple designs, and with those staves, I plan to use them as a Wizard and Apprentice in a Frostgrave game. They will be a mother and daughter team, probably from the Thaumaturge School of Magic. They will definitely be the cheapest wizards I have ever tabled in that endlessly fun game. Alright, there you have it. Not a bad haul of miniatures for $3, and they're going to make some great Animal Cultists, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And you know what else is a lot of fun? A monster fight! Tonight's fight features this knife-wielding goose. We all knew peace was never an option. Versus this old wizard! She also makes a dandy clam chowder. Who will win? Who will lose? Only the old bones can decide. Oh my goodness. Well, somebody's in for a real surprise in this match.
Come and get it, you silly little goose. Honk, 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 honk. Oh crap! Honk, 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 honk.
And there you have it. If you're gonna cast magic spells, you better do it right.
Hey, I'd just like to take a moment to thank my members for their ongoing support. Mark and Lauren, your support is really appreciated. Thank you so much. And if you want to become a Monster Painter member, just click that button down there and you will gain access to digital badges, monthly members only monster fights, and unknowable secrets of the Elder Gods.
I do battle with my Dungeons and Lasers pile of shame. Remember to like, honk, comment, honk, subscribe, share the video, and Ring the bell! Ring the bell!
You are watching Les the Monster Painter.